Well, in Britain, of course, we have soaring violent crime. We had violent crime rise 19% over the course of the last year. We've got eco-mentalists blocking major bridges, blocking major highways. The police just stand by and do absolutely nothing as they're ordered to do. But don't worry, because they are policing pronouns. Headline: British Chief of Police warns misgendering people is a form of abuse. The Chief of Police in Britain chose to recognise International Pronouns Day, and now they've got some other stupid one on Twitter, Spirit Day, or some absolute BS, literally every day. They have an entire LGBT month. They also have to have every single day a trending hashtag on their pronouns. Well, now a Chief of Police in Britain says that misgendering transgender people is a form of abuse. And this is no idle threat, by the way. As I point out in this article, just about 6 months ago, a 38-year-old woman was arrested in her own kitchen in front of her children and locked up for 7 hours because of the crime of referring to a transgender woman as a man on the internet. People being stabbed like literally 10 minutes away, but you called a man on the internet, get in jail. A man was also interrogated for 30 minutes by police for liking a limerick on Twitter. That's right, he didn't even write the tweet. It was a tweet, it was a limerick that made fun of transgender people. He liked it. They literally called up his workplace, the police, found out who he was, and interrogated him for half an hour. He was probably lucky to not be thrown in a jail cell for 7 hours. And a Christian doctor in the UK was also fired from his government job earlier this summer after he refused to refer to a 6-foot bearded man as madam. That's the situation in the UK where we have, again, 19% increase in violent crime in the last year. But don't worry, because pronouns are being policed. Today is International Pronouns Day, said Detective Chief Constable Julie Cook in a video posted to Twitter, which is particularly important to people who identify as transgender or gender non-conforming, or any of the other infinite genders that now exist. She said, being misgendered can have a huge impact on somebody and their personal well-being. It can also be used as a form of abuse. So basically, it's an open threat that they're on the lookout for this, that you may be the next victim of the politically correct thought police. Last time, this video of this police chief talking absolute nonsense. She really looks like she believes it as well. Has 1 million views. I haven't seen the responses, but it's fair to say that that tweet was ratioed. So people aren't buying this clown world order, which is the good news. Meanwhile, Project Veritas continues to hit bombshell after bombshell out of the park. CNN supervisor wishes for Trump's death hopefully soon. There was a tweet that went viral earlier from somebody saying, look at all these deplorable Trump supporters celebrating Elijah Cummings' death. I didn't see any. Obviously, there was probably a few. They do it on a routine basis. That's fine. Now, a CNN supervisor was caught on tape wishing for President Donald Trump's death, commenting that it will happen hopefully soon. This was CNN field production supervisor Gerald Cisnet, who was discussing CNN's obsession with covering Trump all the time before remarking, this is a story that's not going to go away. The only way this will go away is when he dies, hopefully soon. And then if you look at the other revelations, the other leaks from James O'Keefe and Project Veritas today, it's basically, and this is what I've been told from within many news organizations, everybody hates their jobs. Everybody's really demoralized that they're no longer doing actual journalism. They're no longer actual news outlets. And they have a few quotes here in this Zero Hedge article. It's all just a bunch of BS. CNN manager laments network's decay on hidden camera. There are other quotes as well which speak to this, like Scott Garber, senior field engineer at CNN, who said, quote, we used to cover news, we used to go out and do stories, but Trump is more important. Adia Jacobs, CNN technical operations supervisor, said, when Zucker took over, it wasn't until Trump that we ended up being all Trump all the time. Another person said Zucker, basically said F all the other stories. They are so demoralized, they hate their job so much, because they know that they're prostitutes, that they no longer do real journalism. That's why the morale in newsrooms is historically low. Just by coincidence, news outlets, their trust in news outlets across the general public is also historically low. Meanwhile, creator of Men in Black told having an opinion on his own film was old white mansplaining. This was Ed Solomon, who was having a conversation with a group of friendly social justice warriors at a cafe. He said, where I'm writing, the people next to me were disagreeing about the origins of Men in Black, and I said, if you'd like, I could clear that up for you. This is the guy who created it. And one of them responded, I'm sorry, we do not need an old white man's mansplaination, so I apologized, and that was that. Yes, that's the most tragic aspect of this story, that Solomon himself apologized for having an opinion on his own movie because he's just an old white man. And in this new era of racial tolerance, your opinion is automatically rejected because of your skin color, because apparently that's anti-racism now. Meanwhile, South Park is back with a new episode. Daily Caller reports South Park mocks LeBron James' comments on free speech in new episode Let Them Eat Goo. South Park took aim at LeBron James with its Wednesday night episode Let Them Eat Goo. Of course, last week their episode Banned in China was banned in China because it mocked China. The NBA, one of the most woke, pro-social justice networks, sporting agencies in the entire country, immediately caved and fell into line and supported communist China, one of the biggest human rights abusers against minorities on the entire planet. Now, according to the Hollywood Reporter, the South Park episode, mocked the NBA star's comments on free speech. James foolishly said we have a right to free speech, but there apparently can be grave consequences. In the episode, they satirized this by having Cartman say, quote, yes, we do have freedom of speech, but at times there are ramifications for the negative that can happen when you're not thinking about others and only thinking about yourself. Again, this is a guy, LeBron James, who repeatedly tweeted about people like MLK fighting injustice. In fact, I've got the tweet here. LeBron James said, quote, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Apart from, apparently, when that injustice is being doled out by communist China, and because they're his paymasters, it's just fine. Antifa radicals threaten to bring out the guillotine if church shows Jordan Peterson documentary. Remember, these are the anti-fascists. Antifa leftists are threatening to bring out the guillotine if a church shows a documentary about best-selling author Jordan Peterson. So basically, there's a documentary about Jordan Peterson. It's already being cancelled in a bunch of theaters across America and Canada, including in Brooklyn and Toronto, because the people screening it said they were fearful of, quote, getting in trouble. Well, the precise nature of that trouble was revealed when the film's co-creator, Maziar Ganderi, received a text from a pastor who'd received threats after agreeing to screen the film in his church. One of the threats included a promise to bring out the guillotine to fix society. So much for the tolerant left. Suicides and homicides on the rise in young people. This is a CDC report. This is a report out of NBC News. Suicides and homicides are on the rise among children, teens, and young adults in America, according to a new report that highlights what experts say is a disturbing trend among the young. From 2007 to 2017, the rate of Americans ages 10 to 24 who died by suicide rose by 58%. And people have done the comparisons with that, noting that the decline in faith, belief, religion has also declined by almost the same figure over the course of the last 10 years amongst young people in that age bracket. What a coincidence. It also has ties, of course, to the detrimental, horrific effects that social media has on the mental well-being of young people, which has not been studied nearly enough. That's going to wrap it up for the show. Coming up next, War Room with Owen Schroyer, breaking news at Infowars.com.